A patagotitan cast stands in the American Museum of Natural History. Shannon Stapleton writes in 2013, an old Argentinian shepherd named Aureliano Hernandez found a fossilized bone protruding from a rock at the farm where he worked. The remains of giant dinosaurs festoon Argentina's landscape, and knowing the strict rules that govern such fossils, the farm's owners, the Mayo family, contacted local paleontologists. By the time the team arrived, Hernandez had passed away. He never knew that as one of his final acts, he had discovered the largest dinosaur ever known. The fossil he had found was so big that it took 2 weeks to unearth it. It was a thigh bone, and the largest ever found, 8 feet from end to end. There are photos of paleontologists lying next to it for scale, and they look like bemused pixies, their bodies and imaginations dwarfed by what they had found. A pterosaur bone clearly belonged to a sauropod, a long-necked dinosaur like Brontosaurus, Diplodocus, and Brachiosaurus. Specifically, it was one of the titanosaurs, the last surviving group of sauropods, and likely the biggest of them. But even known titanosaurs didn't have thighs that big. Team leaders Luis Carbolito and Diego Pol from the Egidio Ferrolio Paleontology Museum MEF estimated that the bone's owner would have stood 130 feet from nose to tail, and tipped the scales at 77 tons. Speaking to journalists, they compared it to 14 elephants, a 7-story building, and 2 trucks with trailers parked end to end. News of the new Titan spread quickly. Last January, a cast of the sauropod went on display at the American Museum of Natural History, while legendary naturalist David Attenborough released a documentary about its discovery. And now, Carbolito and his team have finally published an official scientific description of the dinosaur. They've also given it a name, Patagotitan merum. The first half refers to the Patagonian region where the dinosaur was found. The second half honors the Mayo family, who kindly welcomed the scientists onto their land and into their kitchen. After careful analysis, the team think that Patagotitan is slightly smaller than they previously thought, 69 tons or so. But even after that downsizing, it's still twice as heavy as more familiar giants like Brachiosaurus and Apatosaurus, and 10% bigger than the previous record holder, another Argentinian titanosaur called Argentinosaurus. For now, it's the biggest dinosaur for which we have accurate measurements, and perhaps the biggest land animal that ever lived. We have a decent idea how well the various methods for estimating dinosaur body mass work, and they tend to agree well enough most of the time, says John Hutchinson from the Royal Veterinary College. Even taking into account the uncertainty of those methods, Patagotitan comes out as a 60-80-ton behemoth. And nothing else we know of yet comes very close. Patagotitan cast in a hangar. D. Pol. Patagotitan lived during the Cretaceous period around 101 million years ago. And for some reason, it frequented the area that eventually became the Mayo family's farm. Carbolito and Pol's team returned to the site more than a dozen times, disinterring every fossil they could find. In the process, they built a road and partially removed a hill. Eventually, they recovered bones from at least 6 Patagotitan individuals. And their bones reveal that they were in their prime, young, still growing, and not yet at their full adult size. Carbolito thinks that these individuals all died at different times, but he has no idea why they all died in this one place. He found the teeth of many meat-eating dinosaurs around the site, but he doubts any predator could have tackled such gargantuan prey. They were too strong, he says. It would have been too risky for a carnivore. Whatever their reasons, their attraction to this one place meant that Carbolito's team eventually uncovered more than 200 Patagotitan bones, covering most of the animal's skeleton. The most amazing moment for us was realizing that the dinosaur is not only large but also more completed than any other titanosaur, Carbolito says. Maybe someone can find a bigger one. But I feel like maybe this is the limit. It's ironic that scientists have found very little of the largest animals to have walked the land. We only know that Argentinosaurus existed based on a few handfuls of bones, some vertebra, ribs, and leg bones, most of which are incomplete. Puertosaurus, another contender for the record books, is known from just 4 vertebrae. There are near-complete skeletons for some titanosaurs like Phytalorhynchosaurus, but these were smaller species that weighed in at just 50 tons or so. But at some point, one group of titanosaurs, the Lonchosaurs, became exceptionally huge, tripling their mass and reaching the 38 to 60-ton bracket. This was the group that gave rise to Argentinosaurus and Patagotitan. It's not clear why these animals became so big, although flowering plants became very diverse at roughly the same time, and the climate became warmer. Brassy also wants to know how these animals became so huge. Did they modify the shape of their skeleton, or the way in which they grew? She wonders. Did their metabolism change, or did they alter their behavior, or all of the above? Also, how big could they possibly get? Maybe someone can find a bigger one, says Carbolido. But I feel like maybe this is the limit.